So can Warrior use teardowns? This is a question that many people have been asking themselves since the beginning of Guild Wars Nightfall. Can they do it? Let's find out. So in this build, we're running a 7-weapon stance build with teardowns. We have Pious Assault and Reap Impurities. We have Condition Application on initial use and teardown of aura. We have a teardown that can function every 4 seconds. It also spikes adjacent for armor ignoring damage. We have some chip cold damage as well as condition transfer. The main reason Grenth's Fingers is in here is for a 5 energy damage teardown. Now you can run whatever utility you want. You could also just spec straight into Earth and run Conviction, for example. Conviction is similar. You basically would remove 2 conditions if you increased your Earth prayers to around 10. You might be able to get it to -3 conditions, but this can remove like blind, weakness, whatever. So it's nice to have. Most modern team comps run spot condition removal, so you shouldn't need this, but it's nice to have. Mainly, I use this for the damage and the fact that it's 5 energy. So let's go. In the words of Mario, let's go. So here's the build. We got these conditions popping off. Got some teardown. You can see here we're doing some decent damage. I just used that dry, meaning I didn't use the teardown. One thing you do have to watch out for is using Pious Assault without a teardown, because these are both on 10-second cooldown. I'm really used to running my assassin build with Shadow Theft Scythe, and I use 2 6-second teardowns, so I just need to adjust my timing. But you can basically always have something for Pious Assault to remove. The longest you'll be waiting is like 2 seconds if you sequence it correctly, and you can always precast. One thing to note though about precasting, honestly, for my own sake, I'm going to switch these. If you precast them, make sure this is last so that when you tear it down, you get conditions. So you'd want to do it like this. If you're precasting, like if you're running in between groups, and it's like, all right, then you engage the group of enemies. And it's pretty big damage. It's 2 big adjacent armor ignoring spikes. Honestly, I think this might be one of the better versions of this build because you have access to a ton of armor ignoring adjacent damage. Pious Assault triggers per foe struck, so it's a pretty big deal. The big upside of Pious Assault versus Reap Impurities against single target, Reap Impurities does not trigger its damage. It triggers its damage per foe struck to other adjacent foes. So if you hit a single target, you won't see the bonus damage. You need at least 2 targets. So this is the build by itself. Now the actual damage per second on Master of Damage is not going to be what you're dealing. The reason for that is if you're at least fighting 2 enemies that are next to each other, you're going to be racking up damage with Grenth's Fingers, Reap Impurities, Pious Assault triggers. This is like your main source of damage. This is your energy management. Honestly, I think people sleep on Zealous Sweep. It's pretty good. Like, it triggers per foe struck, so you can gain up to 6 adrenaline from a single attack and 9 energy. And the bonus damage is okay. It's like plus 25. So, but you get pretty big armor ignoring damage on this. So let's just do like an example. Look at that. That's a lot of damage. That's a pretty good amount of damage. That's totally viable. And there's a utility slot. There's actually 2 utility slots. So let's go over the build really quick. So your utility slots, I would say these for what teardowns you want, and this. I left this empty on purpose so you can fill it with whatever you want. I think this honestly could be really viable, like for general like hard mode, and potentially like it definitely would be viable in Winds of Change in difficult hard mode content because of the spike. Now the thing that's cool is if you use like 4 Great Justice and you have someone with Withering Aura, what happens if there's at least 3 enemies next to each other? Every time you Reap Impurities under 4 Great with Withering Aura, you keep putting weakness and then removing it, so you can just spam them down with Reap Impurities. So this would be a more damage-oriented version of this build. Now this build already has really good damage. However, if you want to be more like turtley, you can run Save Yourselves. So let's actually see how often Save Yourselves can be used just to test it. Between Zealous Sweep, attacking faster, and using a Scythe, you're going to be hitting a lot of foes, so you're going to be charging up Save Yourselves. This is definitely the safer option, 4 Grit being the more aggressive. Withering Aura, of course, is good to use with Reap Impurities. I got some pushback on one version of this build I was running. Like, some people on Reddit think that I'm unaware of, like, how Reap Impurities is good and how Withering Aura works and shit. And I don't know why they think that. I mean, just on this account, I have 900 hours. On my main account, I have 4,000. But let's just say I've experimented a lot in this game. And also the main version of this build of 7-weapon stance Scythe I usually run is Power Attack with Protector's Strike, which I outlined in the other video. And I use Zealous Sweep and Radiant just to like spam through it really quick. But that being said, let's see how often we can get this bad boy going. Alright, there's a Save Yourself. I'm just trying to get Save Yourself up. So it's not the most... You're not going to be doing it a ton. Alright. But it's enough that it'll happen at least half of the time. Now, if you wanted to get more Save Yourself up, like if you wanted it to be up more often, I'm kind of curious to try out something a little crazy. One thing I'd like to do is to test things and to experiment and to run things that are unconventional just for the hell of it, just to see what happens. But let's try something like this. This is a little crazy, but we'll try it. We'll try just a single teardown that costs 10 energy. This one applies cracked armor, though, which kind of makes me want to drop Reap. Reap is obviously good. Chilling Victory is also good. People sleep on that. they just assume it's bad. Or just don't like it. It's kind of like Pious Assault without a condition and with armor respecting damage. Let's see. So you precast this. So you have it when you enter combat. You would use 4 Great. This. Save yourselves. That. Energy. Oh, I used energy when I didn't have the thing up. Yeah, you have to pay attention to a lot of things with a build like this. You have to pay attention to your teardown, your energy, when 7-weapon stance is up or not. 4 Great. There are a lot of energy things here, for sure. Yeah, probably not this. Yeah, I'd like to have both of these. I mean, if I just drop the conditions or drop the teardown. I mean, one way to make it simplified, I would say, would be something like this, maybe. And then just kind of go this route. I'm missing some skills because this was a factions only account for a while. Maybe something like this. This is a more streamlined version where it doesn't care about conditions at all. So you don't need help from your team in terms of like a Withering Aura. This would be good for like more single target areas where the enemies are kind of spread out. Kind of just maintain this out of combat. Probably open with Power Attack, Protectors into Zealous, and then Radiant, I want to say. Because you should be hitting them with like full energy. Unless you're like really close. Yeah, something like this. This is probably the best way to maintain Save Yourselves. You have insane adrenaline gain. You get 2 adrenaline every time you use Power Attack and Protectors because it stacks. And then per foe struck too, so if you hit multiple foes. It's not bad. Let's compare it to attacking like that group of enemies. Now this version, you get more uptime from Save Yourself, as well as more unconditional burst damage. If enemies move for Protector Strike, it does deal plus 42, which is nice. So, you know, if you're chasing like an enemy melee, hitting with a Power Strike and then a Protectors, they might catch that bonus damage. And it's substantial bonus damage too. It's not like trivial. You just maintain this out of combat so that you keep your energy close to max. It's definitely a more energy-heavy build. It's just more simplified. So I'll kind of demo. This is without teardowns, without any conditions. Just like simple build. And then when your energy's high... Alright, let's see. Yeah, that's pretty... I mean, you have pretty good damage compression with just, like, boom, boom, boom. You know, like, 1, 3, 4. And then you can hit him with, like, chilling afterwards. And chilling procs per thing struck below you, like, if it has less health than you. So if you hit 2 targets that have less health than you, it'll deal 37 cold damage to both of them. It'll trigger twice on both of them. If you hit 3 targets, it'll deal 37 cold damage 3 times to everything adjacent. So everything adjacent to those foes. So, for example, you see there, it hit this one. Adjacent to those foes. So, like, yeah. So, like, this one triggers adjacent radius 37. This one triggers adjacent. Now, if they're all balled up, if there's, like, a ton of enemies balled up, it'll just hit them all for basically, like, plus 100 armor respecting, roughly speaking. But I do like the Protector Strike power attack. That's usually what I use. On my other account, that's what I used in Winds of Change. I think I ran something exactly like this. I'm pretty sure this is the exact build I usually run. The other one, I was just, like, experimenting, but that's something I do often in Guild Wars. I tend to run weird things, comp weird things. I'm going to be trying to do DOA with an LA team and then a Paragon team, and I'm going to try some weird shit, just for fun. The factions only stuff, I did that just for fun as well. It was fun. It's a good time. But yeah, 7 weapon stance is really good. The teardown variant of it is totally viable. This is like the more brute force variant, where you basically just like spam like strength attacks, and you have energy management from 2 skills. One of them is an obscure skill no one really runs. And if you wanted to improve this build, I mean, you can switch out these utilities. You could put Reap here if you want. If you have like a Withering Aura with you, that's fine. And this would be viable with Reap too, because like Reap plus Withering Aura, if you have 4 Great up and you hit 3 enemies, it renews itself, and as long as you're just spamming away with it, like, you'll deal an insane amount of damage to things, so it's a pretty good combo. There is some setup. This can get torn down. You do want something with death magic, so, like, an acceptable level for this, you're probably going to have to micro this, I want to say. Probably want, like, at least 9, because, like, you can see the duration is not that long. So, if you have a straight-up Minion Master, great. You know, if you have, like, a 100% Minion Master, you just disable this. You just micro yourself with it. You just leave up the bar, like off to the side, micro yourself. Or you could attach it to like a shortcut so that if you hit like Shift 1 or whatever, Alt Control 1, you can put in combinations to order Hero 1 to use a skill. You would select yourself, Shift Alt 1, boom. Now you have Withering Aura. So that's one way to do it. The other way is just to kind of do it manually. Just click on... You can just target yourself and then click on it. That's... I mean, and you can do this. Just hit F. F targets yourself. Skill 1. Withering Aura. Boom. Then you just hit them and it removes it as it hits them, so pretty good combo. And then if you don't want to use 4 Great Justice or save yourself, you could run whatever utilities, Azurin Scan, I'm Unstoppable, Ebon Escape, or whatever the hell. I don't know the name of it right now. Because I don't have any of these skills in this character. This character had factions-only skills, so it's just getting all this shit. I didn't cap too many elites on my warrior, because most of them aren't viable within a factions-only environment. It's pretty much just 100 blades. But without whirlwind attack, it's not as good, so... but now that this account is not factions-only, we can have some more fun with it. We can make some more builds like this. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. If you enjoyed this, found this interesting, found this useful, definitely like and subscribe. You can also drop a comment, let me know what you think, and peace.